Where did I leave it?
Hey, Faith.
Oh, Dr. Magnus. Hi.
What are you looking for?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Nothing. Gosh, this new IDC makerspace is amazing.
It is, isn't
so much
it?
cool stuff you can do here. I heard you can make stickers and even laser engrave a personal inscription on a water bottle.
Yeah, but that's not all, right? You could take a water bottle and turn it into a water bottle of the future. It could be robotic. It can go off when it's empty and refill itself and fly back to you.
Yeah, but I mean, personal inscriptions. It's cool.
It is cool, but it's myopic. We can do so much more. This is a place where our students can make their wildest, craziest creations come alive. There's literally no limit to what our students can make in this beautiful space.
Yeah, that's exciting, but everyone's got to hydrate. Hydrate or dihydrate, we say.
By any chance, Faith, this water bottle that says world's best host?
Oh, Magnus, you shouldn't have.
Well, actually, I didn't. Apparently, somebody...
Oh, look at the time. The show's about to start. Gotta run.
Yeah, you best run.
Hey, Dr. Magnus. Who's that?
Hey, Jenna. That was Faith. She is the host of the InVenture Prize, and, you know, a pretty strange lady, if I may say so myself.
World's best prof, huh?
Live from the campus of the Georgia Institute of Technology, it's the 2020 Georgia Tech InVenture Prize. Join us tonight as the nation's finest student innovators compete to win $35,000 in prizes and patents. Now, please welcome your host, Emmy Award winner, Faith Saley.
Thank you all, and welcome to the 12th annual Georgia Tech InVenture Prize. We are here to celebrate cutting-edge inventions and innovations driven by the young minds you'll meet tonight. And if you're shrewd, you'll also keep an eye out for investment opportunities. Let's face it, former Georgia Tech graduates and InVenture Prize competitors have gone on to create incredibly successful companies, some of which you'll hear about in just a bit. Now, I'm not telling you your business, but I am saying you might want to have those checkbooks ready. Have you heard of checkbooks? I mean Venmo. Get your Venmo ready. What was I thinking? Despite all of the craziness going on in the world right now, the InVenture Prize is proof positive that absolutely nothing can stop innovation at Georgia Tech. And I could not be happier to be back as host of this show. To be perfectly candid, I am thrilled I haven't been replaced with a virtual host. I mean it. These students are amazing, and I have no doubt they could build the FaithBot 3000 complete with bad puns and powered by kombucha. But tonight, it is not about me. It's about this year's InVenture Prize finalists who have dreamt, invented, and innovated their ways onto our stage. And that's a very big deal. So it comes with a chance at 3 very big prizes. To share a little more information on those prizes, I will send things over to my good friend and co-host, Ashley Mengwasser. Ashley?
Thanks, Faith. You know, you're my friend, too. This year, the team who takes home first place will earn $20,000, sponsored by TDK USA Corporation, as well as entry into Georgia Tech's CreateX Startup Lunch program. Our second place team will take home $10,000. Both the first and second place prizes also include assistance with patent filing, sponsored by the Georgia Tech Research Corporation. Of course, those 2 prizes will be awarded by our panel of expert judges, but there is a third prize for which our contestants are vying, the coveted People's Choice Award. And this is where you come in, because this special award is chosen by our audience. That's you. Whether you're watching on TV, on our live stream, or if you're here with me at the First Center, you can vote for your favorite team and send them home with a check for 5 G's, sponsored by the Georgia Center of Innovation for Manufacturing. Voting for People's Choice will open after all 6 teams have finished presenting. You'll be able to cast your vote either by texting your team's keyword to 402 404-999-3129 or by visiting gpb.org/vote. I'll give you each team's keyword as we go, and I'll remind you of all the keywords after our final team has presented. At that point, we will open up the voting. Only one vote per device will count. I'll be back with those keywords and more soon, but for now, I hand it back to you, Faith.
Thank you, Ashley. That's right, voting for your favorite team puts the power in your hands. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. British parliamentarian William Lamb said that. Or maybe it was Spider-Man. I always get those two confused. Anyway, thankfully, you're not the only ones who will be carefully analyzing our finalists. Let's take a moment to meet our experts. Our first judge is a 2005 graduate of Georgia Tech and a technology expert with more than 15 years of entrepreneurial experience. He's currently the founder and CEO of the crime-fighting platform Flock Safety. Please welcome Garrett Langley. Next up is a familiar face because she was part of the team that won the People's Choice Award at the 2016 InVenture Prize. She is now the founder and CEO of water quality and clean tech company Trupani. Let's welcome back Shannon Evanchek. And our third judge is a serial entrepreneur who, that sounds dirty, who has started and exited 4 companies. Inducted into the Technology Association of Georgia's FinTech Hall of Fame in 2018, Trip Rackley. Thank you all for being with us tonight. Now let's turn quickly to our first team because as you'll soon see, they don't like anyone to be kept waiting.
Hi, I'm Akshay.
I'm Jared.
I'm Michael.
I'm Sohan.
I'm Sam, and we are
Team Q's.
When you're in a rush to get a quick bite, there's no way of knowing if a line is 5 minutes or 35 minutes until you get there.
I came up with the idea of queues when I was waiting in a long line at Starbucks in the middle of final season.
We've all experienced this problem, whether it be to get a coffee at the student center in between classes or going to a food court during lunch rush hour.
So, as a group of 4 computer science majors
And 1 industrial engineering major, we all came together as a team to find a solution to this problem.
Queues is already all over Georgia Tech, and now we're looking to expand to food courts, stadiums, theme parks, and everywhere else there's a long line.
By tackling the problem of long lines, Q's helps us all wait less
Together.
Okay, the wait is truly over. Team Q's, take it away.
We've all been there. We wait in lines every day at airports, restaurants, bathrooms. We wait everywhere. As students, we face the problem of long lines every day when we get lunch. I can't tell you how many students have told me they've skipped entire meals just because they weren't willing to gamble their time in line. That's lost business for vendors and empty stomachs for students. My name is Sam Porta, and our team of 5 founders created Q's to help you wait less for your lunch. Through our 10 Q's tablets deployed across campus, we collect over 6,000 wait times every month from students like these out in the audience. Thanks to these tablets, our historic data, and predictive analytics, we provide you with live wait times, unlike anything else in the industry. Whether you want to find the best time to get your morning Starbucks, or simply find the shortest line on campus, Q's has you covered. Every day, we are helping thousands of students find the shortest lines on campus through our free iOS and Android apps. Now, let's get down to business. College dining contracts in the United States held by companies like Aramark are worth over $51 billion. In 2019, Georgia Tech's dining provider of 25 years lost their contract to Aramark. That's over $250 million in lost revenue over the next 20 years. Why'd they lose that contract? Simple. They failed to address student complaints. And one of the biggest complaints students have on campus are the extremely long lines and wait times. Georgia Tech's current dining provider, Aramark, cares about improving the student experience, which is why after 6 months of diligent negotiations, they signed a paid contract with us. For the past 5 months, we've provided Airmark with 3 forms of value. First, our historic data paints a clearer picture of real-time demand. Second, our predictive analytics help them efficiently staff their stores. And third, our live notifications help them address long lines, all improving the student experience. Since fully deploying queues on campus last November, other college campuses have reached out requesting queues. Today, we are excited to announce that we are negotiating a paid contract with Airmark to bring queues to 3 of their major campuses across the Southeast, helping 96,000 students avoid long lines this fall. And college dining is just the beginning. We are building a technology that will impact every restaurant, stadium, theme park, and everywhere else you wait in line. But we need your help to get there. Winning the 2020 InVenture Prize will enable us to grow our sales and development teams, to bring queues to people everywhere. Don't waste another minute. Download queues today.
Thank you. I will give you thousands of dollars of my own money if you can help me skip the line to the ladies' room. All right, first things first, let's line up the judges to ask a few questions. Tripp, do you want to take the first one?
I do. Love the idea. As my family knows, I will not wait for food, so I fall into that category. The first thing that comes to mind for me is consumer-inputted businesses are very hard to build. So right now, that's how you're handling it. Talk to us about how you're going to evolve from that model to where the consumer aspect is really probably more of an enhanced component.
Absolutely. So tablets is our first big innovation because we found that reporting simply on your phone, it's too difficult to encourage people to do that. But our next step is going to be camera vision. So eventually, we're going to have a camera at every restaurant. It's going to filter through the data and see how long are people standing in line, covering identities, so you don't have to worry about that. But giving it that 100% accurate data, 0 human input required.
So the next question for you is, you mentioned the current contract and then a few coming down the pipeline. What is the actual revenue model with someone like Airmark?
Sure. So with Airmark, we essentially charge an initial payment for setting up the tablets that allows us to get all the infrastructure on campus. And then there's a subscription-based model where, based on per line, basically the more we help them, more data we collect for them, that's essentially what we charge them for.
So if you could take all of Airmark's business, how much revenue do you think you could generate?
Well, Airmark has, we estimate making around 40,000 plus per campus. They have hundreds of campuses, so in the many millions.
Shannon.
Yeah, what's your competitive edge over something that Google already has interfaced into Google Maps with their live wait times?
Yeah, so the problem with solutions like Google's is that it doesn't necessarily tell you anything about the actual wait times in the specific lines. So Google's Popular Times feature, for instance, that's only really telling you how much time people spend at a particular location in total. But that's not just waiting in line. That's waiting in line, ordering, waiting for your food, eating, paying the bill, and leaving. So what we can give businesses is an actual insight into how long their actual lines are for their customers.
Tripp, do you have another question?
Yeah, I think the key to this is going to be the accuracy as far as where the person is when they're viewing that. So you really are at micro levels comparing not only the wait time, but the distance they are. How do you solve that problem?
So currently our apps also have a directions feature, so we can measure how far you are from a location. And because of our predictions that we're running on the back end, we're able to know how long a line will be when you arrive there. And so we are looking at putting those predictions into the app for consumers.
Garrett, you were taking a lot of notes. You must have another question.
I do. I think the question I have is, how do you think about scaling this when you're dealing with a physical product that has to be installed?
Sure. So I think that there's 2 elements to this. There's plenty that we can do in the physical side, but our goal is eventually, if we could have just a simple camera kit that anyone could set up themselves, that gives us this whole new edge where it's just a manufactured product, one setup, and we, in the back end, figure everything out for them.
Just to be clear to people in the audience who may not be entrepreneurs yet, scaling means having a business idea and making it bigger and available to more people. Is that right?
Exactly. Yes.
Oh, I'm learning something. We have about 45 seconds left. Does anyone have another question? I do. Do you say standing online or in line?
In line.
In line. I completely agree, but I moved from Atlanta to New York, and everybody talks about standing online. All right. I think we cleared a lot of things up now. Thank you very much, Team Q's. Let's hear it for them.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you, judges. Now let's find out how long the wait is to be interviewed by Ashley. Ashley, whom do you have waiting with you?
Faith, our first interviewee didn't have to queue at all because being first means no waiting. #perks. Scott Willis is the district manager for Aramark, Georgia Tech's food services vendor. Scott, when it comes to food, you understand people have a need for speed. So how does Q's serve you as you serve others?
First, congratulations to Q's and the rest of the finalists to making it this far. Listen, we take the data that we've given, being able to pivot associates during non-peak and peak hours, and with that, we go through this process through the data that is given to us on a monthly basis. Was roughly, as you heard Sam talk about, 6,000 submissions, and then through those submissions, eventually we'll be able to look at our throughput times. And with that throughput time is really to help our speed of service.
Do a better job at managing your operation. I admire your leadership, Scott. I would never dine and dash at your establishment. If you believe in Q's, you can use vote keyword Q when People's Choice polling opens. Back to you, Faith.
Our second team tonight wants to help keep an eye on your personal belongings when your eyes are elsewhere.
Hi, I'm Minaz.
I'm Nicolette.
And I'm Cole, and we are
Team Watchdog. I think we've all been in a situation where you're working in a coffee shop or a library and you want to step away from your workstation, but you don't know what to do with all your stuff.
I've actually been in that situation myself where I had left some of my personal belongings, like a jacket and a purse, out on a table, left for a couple minutes, came back, and they were all gone.
Currently, there are no solutions to this problem on the market, and as a team of engineers and computer scientists, we have made it our mission to attack this problem.
Watchdog started as a Create X capstone design project in the fall, and when we won the Golden Ticket Award, we realized that this could be so much more than just an in-class assignment and make impact on real people's lives.
Our next steps are to launch our advertising campaign and begin mass manufacturing.
This way, we can get a Watchdog into the hands of everyone who needs one.
Okay, don't worry, Team Watchdog. I will keep an eye on your stuff while you present. Take it away.
Good evening. I'm Colado, and we are Watchdog. According to the FBI, a laptop is stolen every 53 seconds. And most of the time, it occurs in an instant, without anybody even noticing that a theft has taken place. So, that's why we have created a solution, Watchdog, a portable security device for your personal belongings. Watchdog works similar to a security system you might have at home. An alarm is triggered when crime is detected, and a visual deterrent is present to notify any potential thief of the system in place. Let's see it in action. Simply place the device securely on your valuable and activate it using your personalized RFID key fob. That's it. Watchdog immediately starts working on your behalf. When you return, simply deactivate the device and continue on with your day. Now, let's run that back, but this time, let's say a thief tries to tamper with your belongings. As you can see, Watchdog alarms and notifies everyone in the vicinity of the potential theft. Currently, our go-to-market strategy is to begin testing our device in multiple environments. Rome, the shared co-working space with 6 Atlanta locations, has agreed to providing our devices to their members for testing, with the hopes of purchasing our product in the future for their clients. This will provide us with valuable feedback and enable us to customize and mess with our specifications of our device. Additionally, we are currently working with Georgia Tech Police Department and spreading the word about Watchdog in the hopes of getting our devices in the hands of students and decreasing the rate of theft on campus. Currently, we are creating and soldering our prototypes by hand, but with the funding of InVenture, we can create our own custom printed circuit board and injection mold our devices, thus creating fully functioning prototypes that we can send out to market. This evening, we ask for your support to help us protect the valuable belongings of countless individuals, and provide them with peace of mind. Next time you're in a public space and you need to step away, you'll wish you had a watchdog. Watchdog. Life is rough, we'll guard your stuff.
Nice. Okay, so are you able, do you have the technology to personalize the alarm? Like you could have the sound of my 5-year-old saying, "That's mine!"
Yeah, you can have it say whatever you like.
Good to know. All right, now let's see if your bark is bigger than your bite. Judges, Garrett, do you want to ask the first question?
Yeah, I'd love to. I guess the question is, we've all faced this problem, right? You're at a coffee shop, you want to use a restroom, and your laptop's there. Why do you think you're the first to actually try to build a product to solve this?
Well, I think part of it is that it largely happens to college students who don't have access to anything like this. If you work for a consulting company or if you work for as a young professional in these public spaces, you're often provided with cable locks that are kind of clunky. They're only retrofitted for like one specific device. And so we wanted to make something that was available to everyone, that could be used on backpacks, on laptops, on phones, and could be used by college students, young professionals, any working person in a public space.
Shannon?
Have you identified any competitors, and have you looked at what your addressable market might be?
So we have looked at competitors, but like I said, a lot of them are physical devices that lock into your valuables, and other things like Tile would only help you locate a device, not necessarily deter theft in any way. So our device is unique in that way, and we've filed provisional patents to make sure that this device is widely applicable to a wide variety of usage.
Having done a variety of different consumer behavior technology companies, it's very hard to change human behavior. Have you done the test that shows consumers will actually leave valuable stuff around? And my analogy is, I have an alarm system at my house, but I still lock the front door. I feel like you're asking me to just set the alarm and leave the front door unlocked.
Well, unfortunately, that's kind of what people do at the moment when they're in coffee shops or in a library. The number of people who've turned to me and asked, "Can you watch my things?" And then just left their $100, like a multiple $100 laptop on the table. It's happened to me countless times. That's happened to me in the last 2 weeks. And so people right now seem to be doing that. And I know the students that we've mentioned this to, this happens to them all the time. And when they're in a public space, they really do wish they had something like this. Like there's a moment that occurs to them where they think, this is such a pain to pack up all my stuff or to just walk away and not know what happens to it. So I think it's a behavior that they're aware of and that they wish there was something for, and it's convenient enough that we think people would be really encouraged into using it.
The other thing to do is to put in your study catheter, right? And just never leave the table. That's why I don't go to Georgia Tech. Who else has a question?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Have you done any validation testing around if this theory that it will deter theft actually exists?
So right now we've been operating under the assumption that it operates similar to a car alarm. A lot of theft by taking is done by people who are more or less opportunists. They're looking for the path of least resistance to take something on an impulse. So we're modeling our device after that, and we're looking to create many, many more of these in the near future, hand them out to over 100 students have volunteered to help us test them around campus, and we would use metrics from those testings to identify the most significant visual deterrent and auditory deterrent and come up with something like that.
How much do you think consumers will be willing to pay?
We've done polling on this, and we've gotten answers that typically range between $20 and $50. They tend to hover around $30 most of the time, though.
We have about half a minute. Anybody have another question?
Do you have a sense for what your bill of materials or what the cost to manufacture the product will be?
Yeah, so the prototype that we currently have cost us around, I believe, $30 to make. But with mass manufacturing, with our own PCB boards and our injection molding investment, it would drop down to probably around $8 that we've estimated, and so we'd be able to sell at a significant profit at that point.
How did you decide on the size?
So we did a lot of surveying for that too. People thought that around 4 inches in diameter was the most they'd be willing to do. And just considering what people are willing to put in their backpack or their purse, this is the design that we have right now. It fits within that size, and we're looking to make it even smaller in the future.
All right, thank you, judges. Watchdog, you sit. Ashley, you stay with someone from their cheering session, okay? Ashley?
Staying, Faith. You know, I met lots of canines in my life, but Watchdog's particular breed is Stone Cold Cranine. It'll get you. Tech student Hallie Streak, just like Halle Berry, right? That's how you say that. Knows firsthand what this bad puppy can mean for users. Hallie, you're no stranger to stranger danger, unfortunately. Tell us what happened to you on March 5th, 2019.
So I went out to eat with a couple of friends and had kept my phone in my jacket pocket. Left it on the table to go throw my food away and came back and my phone was gone, along with my phone wallet that had my entire identity, debit card, driver's license, everything. 10 seconds of complacency literally cost me thousands and disrupted my entire life for about a month. I think if I had a watchdog, I would be able to keep my things secure and also not have to worry about it. Actually, I might need several watchdogs.
Yeah, get yourself a few, girl. Thank you for your dogged commitment to personal property safety, Hallie. You're an alpha in my book. It's true. If Watchdog gets your tail wagging, vote Watchdog when voting starts. Back to you, Faith.
Thank you, and I want to give Watchdog their due. Let's hear it for Watchdog. All right, we are well on our way, and while our participants so far have been very impressive, so is the road they took to get here tonight. All of this year's finalists have already made it through a gauntlet of multiple levels of interdisciplinary competition against extremely qualified challengers. To get to this stage is a prize unto itself. And to help you better understand exactly what it takes, we created the Road to the InVenture Prize.
For most participants, the road to the 2020 Georgia Tech InVenture Prize began last September, when students were invited to hear from previous finalists.
The best thing you can do is identify a really big problem and then just talk to as many stakeholders as you can.
Of course, the innovation journey began much earlier for some participants.
I've been working on this project for about 2.5 years.
More than 40 teams signed up for this year's competition, with even more being added from last fall's Capstone Senior Design Expo, where select teams were awarded a golden ticket to the semifinals.
You have received a golden ticket for the Georgia Tech InVenture Prize.
Other teams had to impress the judges in the preliminary round.
We're Syndelic, and we're making a smart scheduler that's backed by artificial intelligence.
We're solving the problem of people forgetting where they park their vehicle.
Watch is tomorrow's tools for today's solar.
Once all of the semifinalists had been selected, they were given one more chance to polish their pitch at an InVenture Prize workshop.
Will the app be ready for download soon?
Then it was off to Tech Square and a new location for the semifinal round, where after more grilling from a panel of judges,
what are the complications or challenges that you guys have anticipated or seen?
What's your revenue model? What is the perks? What are the benefits?
6 teams emerged, placing themselves on a trajectory to our stage tonight, and leaving just one question. Who will win the 2020 Georgia Tech InVenture Prize?
Now let's turn the spotlight to our third team, a group whose idea for self-administrating prescription medication at home is on the nose.
Hi, I'm Adam. I'm Jacob.
I'm Dan. And I'm Brandon, and we are Team Nasolution. Right now, millions of Americans suffer from treatment-resistant depression, meaning that these patients have tried at least 3 or more treatments with no success.
These patients must come into an office multiple times a week and take their medication under the direct supervision of a doctor or nurse.
Otherwise, doctors must take the risk of sending their patients home with the medication, potentially leading to abuse or even suicide.
We started working about a year ago with Georgia Tech's CreateX program and spent the first several months doing customer discovery research. Since then, we've been working on creating the functional prototype and currently have a patent pending owned by our LLC.
Nasalution will win this year's InVenture Prize because we provide a way for patients to get the life-saving medication that they need.
Okay, let's go ahead and meet the team whose idea is as plain as the nose on your face. Take it away.
Treatments around anxiety and depression have been stuck for decades. Medical professionals are doing as well as they can managing this epidemic with the resources that they have, but the fact remains that 16.2 million people still suffer from depression, and that's just in the US alone. The good news? Ketamine, administered intranasally, was just approved by the FDA as a highly effective treatment for depression, potentially the most promising intervention available yet. It could be a generational breakthrough, but there's a catch. It's highly addictive, easily abusable, so doctors have a choice. They could send their patients home with a prescription for ketamine with no control over how it's being used. But that just seems out of the question, especially with the opioid crisis ravaging the country. Or they require patients to take their medication in the office under close supervision. But that's a logistical nightmare and simply not possible for too many people. So in far too many cases, this promising medication is being sidelined and ignored. Until today. My name is Brandon Kleber, and that's why we as a team here have developed Nasolution, the first of its kind smart nasal spray. This device works with two main features in order to give both doctors and patients peace of mind. Number one, it will only release the exact amount of medication prescribed to the patient, one dose at a time on a schedule set by the doctor. The patient can then track on their phone when their next dose will be available and how many doses remain. Number two, with our unique tamper sensing technology, this device will prevent patients from abusing their drugs and allow doctors to monitor and even adjust their patients' care remotely. Nasolution will save patients an estimated 50% in annual treatment costs and countless trips back and forth to their clinicians, all while maintaining a safe and effective treatment. We first encountered this problem over a year ago while Jacob was actually working in a research lab performing clinical trials with ketamine. But while we started off with ketamine, after speaking with nearly 100 doctors and patients across the country, we realized that we were just scratching the surface. Opiates, sleep disorder medications, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's medications. The list of treatments that this technology will unlock to not only be delivered, but be delivered safer, goes on and on and on. Now, this device will not cure these diseases, but it is the key to delivering those cures. And in the case of depression, this drug ketamine is one that scientists believe could move the needle on this crisis more than anything we have seen in decades. And Nasolution is the missing link to getting that to patients. Winning InVenture Prize today will offer this project the boost that it needs to fund manufacturing and bench testing in order to gain FDA approval and bring this product to market. With your help, together we can make intranasal drug delivery safer, easier, and more cost-effective for doctors and patients who desperately need it. Thank you.
You say you want a Nasolution. Well, you know, we all want to change the world, but will your product? Shannon, why don't you start?
Sure. So on the surface, there's a lot that sounds great about this in terms of cutting down the frequency of doctor's visits. You know, none of us like going in and doing that. But I'm curious, what specific regulatory issues do you anticipate facing?
Sure. So from a regulatory standpoint, one of the main things we need to do is to get this approved with the FDA. So what we'd have to do is submit a 510K in order to do this, and this would require both performing verification and validation testing on our prototype to basically establish substantial equivalency with predicate devices. But additionally, we would need to perform clinical trials to prove the safety and efficacy of our device as a delivery method. So assuming we're able to establish this and build out our manufacturing, we anticipate that this would lead to FDA approval, and those regulatory issues should be mitigated.
Can we see it?
Certainly.
So I can explain the functionality a little bit. It works using a dual chamber system and a pump, which on a schedule set by the doctor, will pump exactly one dose from this main chamber of the medication, which is not accessible to the patient, into a smaller single dose chamber which is accessible to the patient. There are internal sensors which will track the administration, as well as to detect any sort of tampering event and immediately alert the doctor.
So how does the anti-tamper work? If I do break it open or steal it, what happens?
So the doctor
That's when you need Watchdog, I think.
Okay, yeah. So the doctor would be alerted and then likely not continue that patient's treatment. From our interviews with doctors, they were far more concerned with a chronic non-compliance than they were with just a single event of tampering.
That's great.
Tripp, you have a question.
Yeah, I think I was going along the lines with Garrett that, anytime you have a narcotic or any type of addictive drug, there's a reason that it's behind the counter. This feels like there's a big theft potential issue. How do you handle that? What happens, are you now putting addictive drugs in people's hands that a thief wants to have?
We would solve that problem mainly in that it's not going to replace the doctor oversight, but it's more to be used as a tool so that they can take it at home. So the doctor would still be checking in with their patients and seeing them occasionally and making sure that they're the ones that are taking their medication. Because this is for treatment-resistant depression, these patients have tried for many years to find a treatment that works for them. So it doesn't really make sense for that patient to then go and put their own treatment at risk.
Yeah, I think my question specifically is there's a lot of doses in that container that is a narcotic. So I'm not worried as much about the patient. I'm worried about the person that wants the bad guy that wants those drugs. Yeah. That now it's not locked behind a counter, it's just in somebody's hands.
Yeah, so with that feedback, the patient would be able to report to the doctor that it was taken, and the doctor could remotely lock that device. But if the person who stole it was motivated enough to try and break it open with like a sledgehammer or a saw or something, there would be nothing we could do.
That part is the question that I'm really the most interested in.
So how many people are currently prescribed ketamine in the US?
So that number actually isn't public right now, and it wouldn't even be possible to differentiate between who's using it as a antidepressant and who's using it as an anesthetic. What's more important though is how many people are going to be using it in the next 2 to 3 years once ketamine further proves its safety and efficacy as an antidepressant and becomes more widely available to psychiatrists.
We got about 30 seconds, Garrett.
In terms of the FDA process, do you have a sense for how long it might take?
Sure. So our estimation is that it would approximately take 3 to 5 years to go from our first manufacturing runs that we would do for our benchtop testing to our verification and validation testing with those predicate devices that I mentioned, and then finally the clinical trials that we would have to do in order to prove that our device is able to safely administer the drug.
Okay, let's hear for Nasolution. Judges, you got real nosy there, and I liked it. The hard part is over for Team Nasolution, but let's go to the audience for a second opinion. Ashley?
Speaking of nosy, Faith, I'm going to be really nosy in this next interview. John Eisenhower is a retired professor and TRD patient. You'll hear more about what that means. John, you represent a population who would eagerly inhale what Nasolution has on offer today. Why does this device appeal to you and so many others?
Well, I've had treatment-resistant depression, TRD, for 50 years, so I've tried everything. Dr. Banoff, Jacob's dad, we tried ketamine, and it actually works. The protocol where you're under medical observation and all that makes it logistically hard to get ongoing treatment. That's why Nasolution is safe and effective, and it's accurate dosing, and it gives you the convenience to make your life quality better.
I understand that. You're a hero tonight, John. We appreciate your vulnerability. And get a whiff of this, audience. Nasolution could take home the People's Choice Award tonight, but only if you text keyword NOS when it's time. Back to you, Faith.
Tonight's next team wants to better externalize interns. Take a look.
Canary has a clear path to solve an industry-wide problem that's persisted for decades.
One of the big problems in the internship process is the mismatching of expectations between companies and students, where students are told a job description that winds up being very different from what they do. For instance, we had a roommate who was told that he would be doing very hands-on civil engineering work out in the real world, but wound up just typing on a spreadsheet all day in a cubicle. In our own searches, we've gone to online review platforms to look for this anecdotal information. However, have found it to be very lacking as they are not student-focused.
Experiencing this problem firsthand and witnessing countless classmates experience it as well, we decided that there had to be a better way, so we built it. Canary has a clear roadmap and strategy to get our solution into the hands of students nationwide.
Getting Canary into the hands of students is the first step. But this information will also help employers and schools improve the internship process as a whole.
Canary, it's time for you to take flight.
Today, internships are so crucial in launching students' careers that 2/3 of students do an internship or a co-op, yet there's still a massive problem. My name is Sims, alongside Steven and Noah, and we've been continuously frustrated with watching companies sell our friends and classmates on internships where hands-on engineering is really just stacking boxes, or software development is getting coffee. In the age of information, we should know what we're walking into so we can avoid these bad internships and find the great ones. We tried sites like Glassdoor, but they're focused on full-time, and they ask questions like CEO approval rating, when as students, we want to know what kinds of projects will we be working on, or will we even have work to do at all? Tired of being left in the dark, we decided to build it ourselves. We made a simple proof of concept website that simply allowed students to leave a review of their internship, and we called it Canary. 2 months ago, we made a single post on the Georgia Tech Reddit, and the reviews began pouring in, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive.
Students that we had never met before were leaving reviews and also leaving feedback like, "This is outstanding. It would be great for interns to know what they're walking into." I feel like this is a very good way to get a concise feel for what to expect or what to avoid. And I think this is a great idea. I would have appreciated some warning or expectation aside from the workplace's hollow promises. Our MVP proved that we were onto something, so we built the full site that's streamlined and scalable. This is the new Canary, and it's available as of this week at canarystudent.com. Every single Canary review gives an anonymous and detailed breakdown of the internship or the co-op. You can see precisely what projects a student worked on during their time, what percentage of the time they really spent working, and how their overall experience differed from the job posting. Specific answers to these specific questions students are asking. That's Canary.
So, how do we make money? Well, Canary will always be free to students. However, there's a clear opportunity to charge companies for branded pages and insights into their programs. But to even get companies interested, we need more reviews. And our plan to grow is to work with universities. In fact, as of this week, Georgia Tech and Emory's career centers are pushing out our platform to a combined 23,000 students. Canary brings students, universities, and employers together. And we are ready to use the money from the 2020 InVenture Prize to build out our offerings to employers, develop relationships with universities, and most importantly, to help students find experiences they'll love. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, just to be clear, you're not diminishing how important it is to get coffee, right? Because there are days when all I want to do is get coffee.
Of course, of course.
Okay. Judges, let's get these canaries to sing. Tripp, you want to take the first question?
Yeah, I have 2 daughters that are students at Georgia Tech, so I know this is a real problem. Talk to us about how you stop the traditional problem of all reviews, whether it's Glassdoor to Amazon to the App Store, of nothing but angry interns and, hey, we really want you to post a really happy one for us. That barbell really pulls the value out of services like this.
Yeah, so that was a question we had going into this, because we're aware of that problem across other platforms. And what we found during our MVP testing, and now the full thing, is actually there's a great distribution. We have a number of 5 out of 5, great, they had a great time. We have a number of this is not what I expected, and negative reviews, but we also have just a wide distribution of ones that they had an okay time, and they're able to spell out the nuance and say, hey, you might like this if you're this kind of person, but you might not like this if you're this kind of person. So we actually have a great kind of normal distribution of reviews, so we haven't seen that problem. Moving forward, and as of now, we do screen really closely. So if there's anything that's inappropriate, of course, or explicit, or naming out specific people, we don't allow that. That violates our terms of service. But so far, we've seen a great normal distribution.
So my question kind of goes along the same lines of that, is how do you prevent against any type of fake reviews from someone that didn't actually complete an internship at that company?
So that is an excellent point, and one of the main things we're implementing very soon, and we do right now by hand, is making sure that every review is written by a student. So we're going to verify that every review is written by a real human being that is a student at the school they say they are. There are third-party platforms or third-party services like SheerID, which is what Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon uses to verify their students for their student programs. So it's already being done on a very wide scale, and we can get even more nitty-gritty with verifying they're a student and maybe even verifying their age to be sure that these reviews come from the people who say they are and are not just slammed by companies trying to manipulate the process.
So one of the challenges that I see that I'm curious to see how you're going to tackle is seasonality. So businesses like Yelp, people eat every day. Places like Glassdoor, people change jobs pretty often. But for y'all, internships tend to only happen 3, 2, 4 times a year. How do you get over that?
Yeah, so a couple of things. So it's one thing, if you look at Glassdoor, people do change jobs, but they're also pretty often, but they're only changing jobs once every 5-10 years. What we see with students is through 4 years we're looking at 3, 4, maybe even 5 internships. So there is a seasonality component, of course, because most internships are in the summer. But just the volume is much higher in a shorter time frame for students. And then also there are internships going throughout the year. I'm currently interning, even though it's the spring. Co-ops are going throughout the year. So there is seasonality, but it's not something we see as being a major threat. Actually, it's great how many internships students do take in such a short amount of time.
We get time for another question, yeah?
Out of the population of interns at Georgia Tech, what percentage do you think has left a review on your site?
Yeah, that's a good question. So actually, we just had the email from the Career Center sent out yesterday. So this is the first time we've just got it sent out to the whole campus. On that simple Reddit post, we had up to 320 upvotes, and we estimate that probably 1,000 people saw it based on just Reddit hit rates. And so from those 320 upvotes, we got about 60 reviews, and then the other 40 were us just reaching out to personal contacts. But 60 reviews from about 1,000 people who saw the page.
And I'll give a quick anecdote here. Earlier today, we were in class, and I heard a couple people talking about their internships. And I asked them, hey, did you happen to leave a review on a website recently? And they said, yeah, I left a review about my internship on Canary. And it was great, and we actually got to talk to them, and they thanked us for how cool our project is. And they were just like, yeah, we can absolutely see this being something big. Thank you for doing this. We love leaving the review. It's a cool platform. So that was great for us to hear.
Were you wearing your T-shirt when you asked that question?
No, we weren't. We were not.
All right, we got about 15 seconds.
Tell me more, do you ever plan to charge the schools to use the product, or what's that relationship like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So students, never plan to charge them. We're student first, by students, for students, et cetera. Schools, we are providing a lot of value there. That's something we are exploring, and we've explored so far very deliberately.
And that's your time. So keep exploring. You have time
Sure,
to keep exploring.
we are exploring that.
Got to cut you off.
First.
Well done to our team, Canary. Let's hear it for them. And our judges. Okay. I'm going to hand things off to Ashley while I text my intern to make sure my water is at room temperature. Ash?
Well, in bird terms, Faith, Georgia Tech's internship reviewers keep others from feeling awkward so they can enjoy their internship. No egrets. Robbie Crazen is one of those. Robbie, don't frown at me. You're supposed to be on my side. He's one of these reviewers. Robbie, you're a living, breathing student on campus. Thank God for that. When did Canary first sing to you about internships?
Well, I'm surprised we already have something like Canary before. It's 2020, so I never had any insight what it'd be like to intern or work at certain companies, and a lot of job descriptions, unfortunately, are vague and even misleading, and I've had bad experiences because of that. But I've also had great ones. So Canary gives me a way to share the experience. And so now I can read other people's reviews because, one, I'm nosy, but now I can compare other companies I'm interested in, and that's going to help me and all these job seekers out there on what to look out for.
Oh, what a tweet heart, Robbie. Thank you. Canary winning first and second place, or, first place in People's Choice tonight, would be a real 2 birds, 1 stone situation. To make Canary the People's Choice, all you have to do is text Canary when voting opens. Thanks, Robbie. Faith.
Thank you, Ashley. Each year, the InVenture Prize gets more competitive and the innovations more impressive. Just because you won't see all of this year's entries tonight doesn't mean those teams are done. Take a look at some innovations that, with a couple of tweaks, you could see soon. Who knows? Maybe next year.
We're Team Toon Squad.
We're Team EG Road Warriors.
We're Team Together We Warm, and we created the Bacon Wrap.
What is your invention?
Making it better for women while keeping the
The stratum sheet will help you spend less time making your bed and more time sleeping in it.
What is it you really have?
What we invented is essentially a video game for monkeys.
Great, I love it.
The main design inspiration was wrapping a piece of meat in bacon.
I'm having a little trouble processing this sort of grandiose language here.
So we came up with this idea because I was a soccer coach and I actually lost children. Well, it's kind of a long story, so I don't know if I should say that.
Everybody loves a nice piece of meatloaf wrapped in bacon.
Clink and drink, baby.
Our Hyperion valve allows physicians to control the rate of deflation after the placement of endobronchial valves, which will reduce postoperative pneumothorax in COPD patients.
Our next team is wrapped in bacon. No, ingenuity seems to be everywhere we look tonight, even high above us, as you'll see with our next finalist.
I'm Curtis Larry and I'm Team Waiter. I'm a third-year mechanical engineering major here at Georgia Tech, and ever since my freshman year, I would wake up every morning and get a chicken sandwich. While I was standing there every morning, I realized that I could be much more productive if I wasn't waiting in this line. Ever since I was a little kid, I would solve most of my problems with an engineering approach. Even in middle school, I built my first robot, and so I knew I could take this form of thinking and solve this problem. After all, that's why I came to Georgia Tech. Although Waiter got its start on the Georgia Tech campus, I'm confident that I'll be able to be installed in places like hospitals, apartment buildings, stadiums, and practically anywhere where items need to be moved. I've been working on this Waiter system for a year and a half now. Waiter is going to win this year's InVenture Prize because it is the embodiment of Georgia Tech, the culmination of form and functionality.
Okay, so before they replace me with a robot host, here's Waiter.
Thank you. Hi. I'm Curtis Larry. I'm a mechanical engineering student here at Georgia Tech, and as an engineer, I love robots. As a college student, I love finding cool places to eat around Atlanta. Ever since I was a kid, I had a dream of building something so cool that you can only see it on a sci-fi movie. And as an engineer does, I manifested this dream. Today, it's my honor to share with you Waiter. Waiter aims to make the process of delivery more efficient in a high-tech and exciting way. It does this by utilizing a fleet of autonomous robots and a network of overhead tracks. All right, it's a little complicated. T-Bone, roll the demo. So you'll see that the order starts when your plate is loaded into the tray. The robot then picks it up, drives over to you, and your food comes down from above. Once you've gotten your food, the robot returns to the back of its line and does all of the waiting for you. Now you'll see in this installation we have 2 robots that service 4 tables alongside the staff, all without me needing to be there. The coolest thing is that it's installed less than a mile away at the Highland Bakery here at the Georgia Tech's own Tech Tower. Pretty cool. So with this initial installation, it has been a blessing because it has been a great testing ground and proof of concept. Along the way, we've learned that you gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet, but you gotta drop a few omelets to test a robot. So I have bigger dreams for Waiter. I wanna install it in a location that can take full advantage of the potential of the system. To do this, I've already proven that it provides an outstanding customer experience. I get the greatest feeling when I see the robot delivering and people are smiling in awe or taking a video of it to send to their friends. Now the next thing I have to prove is the practicality. I really have to see if it brings a functional advantage to the working efficiency of a restaurant. To do this, I'm working with Aramark to find a perfect location for a next installation where I will be servicing over 100 orders an hour. Now, from this, I'll be able to learn the capacity increase that it brings to a restaurant and the decrease in wait times that it brings to the customer. InVenture has been a blessing, not just from the publicity it's brought into Waiter, but from the love and support that the team behind the cameras have shown. Thank you guys so much. Winning this year's InVenture would give me enough resources to refine the design of the robot, purchase enough tracks for this new installation, and bring on a team of talented engineers to really make this system possible. Now, I know the system is initially aimed at the dining industry, but I believe it can be spread to many industries that can take advantage of this transportation potential. Places such as manufacturing facilities, hospitals, and stadiums. So today, I invite you to join me in delivering the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm gonna be your robot mother and do this. There we go.
No.
All right, and now let's have our judges serve up a question. Garrett?
Yeah. So one, incredibly impressive what you've done by yourself.
I love it.
It's really cool. I guess the main concern I have, is it actually faster than a human though?
Okay, so this initial installation we have serving 4 tables right now, it really is just kind of a cool thing that the restaurant's trying out. But with the next robot, I'll be able to use motors that are twice as fast and create a network infrastructure that could bring the deliveries much faster. And so optimizing this to a scale of 100 orders per hour, this would insanely increase the delivery time.
Shannon?
What has been your cost structure for deploying your first robot?
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Does that mean how much did it cost to make
Yeah,
the
how much is it costing you
prototype?
to do this, and what is the return on investment?
Okay, so well, each robot cost me about $300 to make, but that's with kind of me building everything with parts ordered from Amazon. And then the tracks cost me about $4 a foot, but with an increased purchase quantity, I can get that down to be only $1.75 per foot. And so from there, I can really get I could be able to service a traditional restaurant that handles 100 orders per hour, 1,500 square feet. I could probably do an initial installation fee. So the price structure is initial installation fee and a monthly recurring fee to make sure that the maintenance and system is optimized continuously. And so the initial installation fee would be $7,000 for a place like this, and a recurring of $750 from the numbers that I've created so far, $750 a month. And this is definitely justified in the price increase in capacity and decrease in labor costs that I hope to prove with this next installation.
Trip.
Yeah, I say amazing what you've built. How do you, I can see how it works with a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you determine, if I sit down at a table with 4 people and I've got to watch this come around 4 times,
Mm-hmm.
one person's food's cold before the next one, how do you right size based off of table size?
Okay, so table size, we could have the robots pretty much come to one table together. So all the robots would be waiting, and then they'd come down at the same time, and they'd be loaded together continuously. We're really looking to optimize the system to not really be at kind of a sit-down family restaurant, but more a high-volume, quick-service restaurant that really could optimize the delivery potential of this. So really, you'd be looking to get your food as quick as possible.
How do you get new customers?
How do we get new customers? From things like this, and hopefully people seeing that it's super awesome. But I'm working with Aerodyne right now to do an initial installation, and from there I really hope to prove the functional value add, which will then, I think a lot of places will see the potential and hop on.
Of all the verticals that you're talking about, which one would be your first to go to outside of dining?
What does that mean for the audience, a vertical?
Hospitals, stadiums.
Okay, so whichever verticals, so I'm pretty much open to whichever one I could test first. I think it would be really cool in stadiums, just because that's where a lot of people are, and that's where the system can really be utilized to its max potential. But it'd also be very useful in hospitals and manufacturing facilities, and I kind of built this for myself. So like if I was manufacturing something and I needed a tool really quick, then I wouldn't have to go back into my garage to get it. I could just have the robot bring it in like 10 seconds. But whichever one's the best, yeah.
You've got 30 seconds.
How have you thought about safety? So to Tripp's point, the coffee makes sense, but it also is probably the scariest.
Yeah, it's okay. The first few times were a little nerve-wracking, but we've got it fire marshal approved, everything structurally tested, and so the best way not to have an event is to make the system so it's impossible to fail.
Nice. All right. Will the robots respond to the bad jokes that all dads make when they go to restaurants?
I tell the worst jokes and they always laugh.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, waiter. Thank you, judges. Now I will deliver things over to Ashley, who's with someone close to waiter. Ash?
As the old saying goes, the apple doesn't fall far from the inventor family tree. At least I think that was it. Todd Larry holds a couple major titles, biomedical engineer and Curtis's dad. Todd, in modern day terms, you're the influencer in Curtis's life. What can you tell us about the origins of his impulse to innovate?
Well, I got to say, Ashley, perhaps I'm a bit to blame because I have been working in R&D most of my life and have several patents like you mentioned. Kurt would grow up and watch us developing stuff in the lab. And one day he said, Dad, I'm going to be an inventor just like you. And now he is one, and that's what we do.
That's awesome. That's incredible.
So, as far as a waiter goes, like he said, he got tired of waiting in line. He figured a solution. He showed Georgia Tech. They got excited. They showed Aramark. Aramark got excited. And he built the Alpha model in his apartment, stuck in the ceiling.
Oh, you're not getting that deposit back.
I don't think we're getting that
No,
deposit
you're not.
back.
Okay, it all boils down to this. If you think waiter is greater, don't be a hater. Text keyword W8R later in the show. Back to you, Faith.
All right, breaker, breaker. It's time to put the pedal to the metal. Don't you just love trucker talk? I have a hunch our next team does. You can decide for yourself.
Hi, I'm Joy.
And I'm Tyler, and we're Team Aerodyne. Nobody likes paying for gas, but imagine being a trucking company owner where every single week you need to pay upwards of $1,250 for every single truck that you own.
Because of both high fuel costs and an abundance of competition in the trucking industry, truck owners are looking for anything to make their margins even slightly better.
We looked at current solutions on the market and realized that there was still plenty of room for improvement.
And being a team comprised of mechanical engineers and industrial engineers, we knew that we could find a solution.
Early on in our customer discovery phase, we met a trucking company owner who loved what we were doing and really wanted to support us. So he actually donated a trailer to our team, and it really accelerated our progress.
Aerodyne will win the InVenture Prize because our product could be the difference between a trucking company closing their doors or trucking on for another day.
Okay, Aerodyne, will you cruise into the prize money without any resistance? It's up to you.
$165 billion. That's how much money the United States trucking industry spends on fuel every year, and it's their largest expense. One of the main contributors to this cost is rear aerodynamic drag. However, few companies have attempted to address this region, and arguably none have done so effectively. That is until today. Hi, I'm Joy Bullington, co-founder of Aerodyne Technologies, and together with my team, we have set out to tackle this problem by designing the most practical and fuel-efficient rear-mounted trucking attachment available on the market. And this is how every truck in the United States will increase their fuel economy by 5%. Our market research shows that competing products rely too heavily on driver interaction and offer no solution for many trailer types. To differentiate, we've built a patent-pending device that can be fitted to virtually any trailer type and is completely automatic. So our device will be able to sense when a truck reaches highway speeds and deploy on its own, creating a more convenient solution. So far, we've built our first full-scale prototype, and with the help of our partners at Ron Parks and Associates, we were able to complete a 120-mile road test to ensure its durability. We have also performed a series of fluid dynamic simulations on our design. What we discovered was a staggering 5% increase in fuel economy, which translates to roughly $3,000 in fuel savings per truck per year. And this increase in fuel economy will also reduce carbon emissions by nearly 200 metric tons per truck per year. And as more states impose carbon taxes, our device will be able to save our customers an additional $3,000 per truck per year. And these savings have proven to attract potential customers, evident from our conversations with interested companies and an intent to purchase for 28 devices from our first customer. And Aerodyne has developed the infrastructure in order to meet our large expected demand. We currently have suppliers and an assembly crew in place, and we have even secured agreements with both the largest truck maintenance facility in Atlanta and the largest trailer manufacturer in the world to install our device onto both pre-existing and new trailers. The progress we've made thus far is thanks in part to the resources we've had at our disposal through Georgia Tech, but primarily through the ingenuity and grit that this team consistently brings to the table. And we are confident that this team with this product will successfully disrupt one of the largest industries in the country. Thank you.
Nicely done. That's like a Batmobile country style. All right, judges, does this tractor trailer technology float your boats? Shannon?
So I saw you guys present at CreateX Demo Day about 8 months ago, and I think the presentation and the progress is impressive, so congrats on that. And since I saw that, I've started noticing these on the backs of trucks as I've driven, because it wasn't really something that I knew about before. So I have seen it pretty frequently, and I would like to know if you can go into more detail about your competitors and how you're going to differentiate.
Sure. Our main competitor is Trailer Tail. It's a device that is manually opening and closing. That's where our device really sets itself apart, is because it opens and deploys at highway speeds and closes at the push of a button or when you put the vehicle in reverse. A lot of drivers, they forget to open the device because it's not normally part of their workflow, and so either they don't open it and don't get the fuel economy savings, or they might back into something and break it, and just messes up the whole process.
Also, we're able to extend a full 5 feet behind the trailer, which is the full extent that the DOT allows for regulations. But Trailer Tail is limited by the width of the door itself, so when they deploy out, they can only extend slightly less than 4 feet. So we're able to go further back, which we can taper that air in deeper, which is a much better and more efficient way to do it.
Another really big one too is Trailer Tail only works on double door trucks. This, because it's not on the side, it doesn't matter what type of doors on the back of the truck, roll up, double doors, anything.
And that's a great point, because roll up doors, there's no solution on the market for. And so that will dramatically expand our market size.
Trip.
Yeah, I know the long-haul trucking industry is highly fragmented. So tell me about your sales approach.
Right. So essentially what we've been doing so far is we've been reaching out to trucking fleet owners through LinkedIn, and surprisingly that's been very effective. We've met one out in Covington, who you'll hear from in a minute, who actually donated us a truck. We were able to install our device onto it, and we were able to do 3 different road tests on it. So that was a huge help for us. But we're also talking with SEA, we're talking with Old Dominion, we're talking with UPS, and then we're also talking to Brown Trucking. And so those all combined together, we're starting to gain interest in the industry. But once we get those numbers from that road test that we're going to do in the next 2 months, that's when we can really sit down in front of these guys and show them, here's exactly how much money you're going to save every year. Here's how much the device costs. Here's how soon you can pay it off. And then we can show them this thing in a meeting. We can explain how it works. They can see it in person. And I think this is going to be an effective tool as well. But then, we're going to install this thing onto a truck for a pilot test for them. Once they see the numbers for themselves, then they can install it onto their whole fleet.
Talk to me about the technology. If you're predicting you can get a 5% savings, what do you think the limit is? Is it 50% savings? Is it 10%? Like, what's the ceiling?
Sure. So one of the big things that we started with is that there's about 800 pounds of drag force on the truck in all areas. About 300 pounds of that is on the rear of the truck. So we're able to reduce that and boost fuel economy by about 5%. Because we haven't done a full-scale road test that is long enough to get those exact fuel numbers, once we get those, we'll be able to have that as a sales tool for our customers. But right now we have the CFD results, which are fairly reliable.
Anybody else?
I think I read in your documentation that you're targeting price points of $2,000. I think that's right.
Yes, sir.
What are you predicting the durability and lifespan of the devices once it's installed?
It's a great question. So the goal is to have this device last at least 5 years. Trucks go through routine maintenance every 500,000 miles or a million miles, whichever. 500,000 miles. And what's the time frame on that typically? 5 years?
Yeah, about 5 years.
Because every year they travel about 100,000 miles on average. And so within 5 years, they go through routine maintenance. And so during that time, they would be able to also do maintenance on this device itself. So that's a good goal for us, is to do 5 years, ideally longer. Another thing to consider too, we use this fabric material, which is actually a sailcloth derivative, and so that might need to be patched up or replaced every so often, maybe a little bit more often than 5 years, but that's an easy enough replacement and it's not very expensive. So.
And you're at your time. Well done, you stuck the landing. Let's hear for Team Aerodyne. And that will be the final team question of the evening. Of course, we still have to answer a very few other important questions, like who will be our winner? And so with that in mind, I hereby release our judges to take on that task of beginning their deliberations. Off you go to your hemi-anechoic chamber or a broom closet. Just make sure nobody can hear you, okay? While our judges are busy backstage, let's hit the open road with Ashley and someone close to Team Aerodyne. Ashley?
Brandon Parks, owner of the trucking company Ron Parks & Associates, told me he was first impressed by Team Aerodyne's drive. With that unintentional pun, I knew this interview was meant to be. Brandon, you and your company chose to partner with Aerodyne. What won you over?
Yeah, so our greatest expense outside of driver pay is fuel consumption, right? So with Aerodyne, we really feel that we're able to dial that cost savings down. There's not been other products that we've used that we've been able to get that ROI in, right? So through Aerodyne and their design, they basically reduce the drag coefficient far greater than any other product out there, thus resulting in lower MPGs. So we believe it's going to be industry changing.
Huge for the industry. That's so true. Brandon, thank you for presenting proof that everything looks good in accessories, even trucks. Shifting gears now. To vote Team Aerodyne for People's Choice, text keyword truck. And with the conclusion of input from tonight's final finalist, I'm happy to say, let the People's Choice voting begin. To vote, you can text your team's keyword to 404-999-3129. Don't forget, only one vote per device will count, and be on guard for autocorrect. If you misspell your team's keyword, that vote will not count. What are those keywords, you ask? I've got you covered. Here we go. To vote for Q's to win People's Choice, text the letter Q. To vote for Watchdog, text keyword Watchdog. If you think Nasolution deserves this accolade, that keyword is nose. If your choice is Canary, text Canary to the number at the bottom of your screen. And to cast your vote for waiter, the keyword is letter W, followed by number 8, and then letter R, W8R. And finally, if you're pulling for Aerodyne, text truck to 404-999-3129. You will receive a confirmation text after you vote, but like I said, only one vote counts per device. Speaking of those devices, if you're not near a phone, don't worry, we have options. You can also vote by going online and visiting gpb.org/vote. Our People's Choice voting will only be open for just a short window, so get those keywords sent and we'll have the results shortly. Faith?
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. I want to remind, cajole, and maybe even coerce you all to vote. Text 404-999-3129 with one of the keywords appearing at the bottom of the screen right now, right there. That's good for voting and some excellent hand modeling from me. Now then, let's go back to Ashley, who is standing by with a couple of very special guests from Georgia Tech's K-12 InVenture Prize program. Ash?
Quick change over here. Mark Funsale puts the mark in remarkable. A current 9th grade student at McIntosh High School, Mark actually began his K-12 InVenture journey earlier as a middle schooler in Dr. Kathy Landman's class. It's a true coming-of-age tale. Middle school inventor becomes high school inventor, and of course, we're watching to see where he matriculates in 4 years, huh? This very legacy is the K-12 InVenture Prize ethos. Now, Kathy, as Mark's teacher, why do you think K-12 InVenture Prize is such a momentous competition for these students?
Well, I've been teaching invention and innovation for about 5 years, and what I see is the program that Tech has put into place really opens up a new world for these students. It really gives them the skills that they need to learn.
Awesome, that's awesome. And Mark, you've got mad problem-solving skills. You've won some titles, and I think you're going to stick with K-12 InVenture Prize as a high schooler now that you're a freshman. Tell me about what you won and what your plans are for the future.
Well, so I won in 2018 the Wearables and Technology Award at the National Invention Convention, and now in 9th grade I plan to continue doing so for the rest of high school because InVenture Prize isn't like other competitions. It doesn't teach you to create an idea, it teaches you to create a reality.
That's incredible. Okay, there's a lot of resources available online for you guys, but it does take kids like Mark, teachers like Dr. Landman to propel and educate forward in the K-12 environment. For schools and teachers who are interested, register via k12inventure.gatech.edu. From lesson plans, workbooks, logbooks, there are endless resources at fingertips. Isn't it terrific, Faith?
Thank you, Ashley, and thank you, Dr. Landman and Mark. We all know how valuable K-12 experience can be to later academic achievement, which is why I studied so hard in kindergarten. But truly, because of all you do, the future for the InVenture Prize looks very bright. And that future is exactly what I had in mind when I recently visited with Zach Braun and Tyler Sisk, the founding members of Team FireHUD. If you'll recall, Team FireHUD won the 2016 Georgia Tech InVenture Prize, and their success since that show has been nothing short of astounding. But don't just take my word for it. You can see for yourself where they are now. Where are y'all from?
We're both from Noonan, Georgia. We went to same middle school, high school.
Yeah.
You must be the pride of Noonan.
We've been in the paper a lot of times.
How did you feel when you ended up on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list?
It was pretty exciting. We got recommended and we got an email saying you're in. I was just taken aback, kind of like now we're in a magazine.
Yeah, it was a great thing to wake up to.
Do you think you would ever have created FireHUD if you hadn't gone to Georgia Tech?
I don't think so. We needed like the unique combination of the Georgia Tech atmosphere, the invention studio, and really, me and Tyler being able to work together as well.
So we're back in the first center. What was that night like?
We had practiced so much. It was like an instinct at that time.
Incredibly nervous. I remember I have watched the YouTube videos obviously since then, and my eyes are like so wide.
The winner of the 2016 Georgia Tech InVenture Prize is FireHUD. Is it fair to say that your life changed on this stage?
I think that's very fair.
It was the catalyst that propelled us into media attention, which helped us get into different fire departments and everything there.
FireHUD now is a bit different than the FireHUD that won the InVenture Prize on this stage.
That's right. Originally, we had like a heads-up display that displayed all of the firefighters' information out in front of them. Since then, we've kind of pivoted to like a arm-worn device, which sends all that information back to like the commander who can keep track of all his personnel.
You saw the InVenture Prize at home on TV when you were in high school, and there are a lot of kids in high school, even younger, watching this now. What should they know?
You gotta be really persistent and know that all your hard work's gonna pay off.
If you have an idea, don't be afraid to see it out and at least just prototype and kind of test it out, and you never know where it could go.
By the way, FireHUD has received 2 patents, including the one they earned for winning the InVenture Prize, almost $2 million in grants, and are currently manufacturing their devices for the United States Air Force. Zach and Tyler are here. Where are you guys? Where are you guys? Right there. Let's give it up one more time for Zach and Tyler. Our judges are almost done dotting their I's and crossing their T's, so you have very little time to place those people's choice votes. While you do, let's see how our finalists are handling the pressure. Ashley, what's going on backstage?
Much like the year, hindsight is 2020. And when you're a Georgia Tech innovator, you know a thing or two about hindsight. Now that you can see clearly, having been through the process, teams, what would you like to impart to others who are on their invention adventure? Any do's or don'ts? We'll start with you, Nasalution.
We just want to say, follow your heart, follow your dreams. If you find a problem that you're passionate about, don't stop working until you solve it.
So inspiring. Cues.
Yeah, persistence is key. So once you know your dream, follow through on it. Keep going.
Persistence. Watchdog.
Learn something new every day and never be afraid to ask for help.
So fearless, you guys. Canary, what do we have?
If you want to start something, don't think of good ideas. Find really interesting problems and solve those.
Brilliant. Aerodyne.
If you want to get somewhere you've never been, you need to do something you've never done.
Who said that?
I have no idea.
Beyonce? I think it was Beyonce. Curtis, waiter, what do you have to say?
You can build anything you want. Just look it up on the internet and figure it out.
Who are you endorsing here, Google? Okay, well, you get the last word. And with that, People's Choice voting is officially closed. Now, we're all curious what the judges have decided for first and second place. So how is the judges' vibe, Faith?
All right, thank you, Ashley. Well, from the looks of relief on their faces, it appears our judges have reached a consensus. So before the results are announced, let's see what little nuggets I can pry loose. What was the most difficult part of the decision?
Well, I think it takes a lot for anyone to get on stage and share what they've been working on. So I think the hardest thing is to pick any winner, because everyone is doing something really, really impressive.
Yeah. Did you all get back there and realize you agreed, or were there, fisticuffs thrown? What happened?
No, we were pretty close.
Really?
Pretty close.
All right. Well, it seems like it was a tight race. Yeah. Was it like between 1 and 2 teams?
Very tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Shannon.
No, I was just going to say it's more fun to be on the judging side than the competing side.
Yeah, what did you learn by being a judge? Like, if you could go give yourself from 4 years ago advice.
Man, I don't know. It's tough, but really just looking for the passion and the work ethic and who has what it takes to take this idea and scale it from this stage tonight.
All right, I can't wait to hear what you decided. Thank you for your hard work. And let's find out what you decided. I would like to invite all of our finalists to rejoin us on the stage. And judges, would you please join me up here in the front? Along with 3 very special guests, hello, who will help present tonight's trophies. Come here, join me in the center. Thank you. All right. These are the youngest inventors on our stage. We're ready to talk about these 3 kids. Now, these are the youngest inventors on our stage. Are you all 5th graders? Is that right? You're in 7th grade, and you 2 are in 5th grade, right? 5th graders and K-12 participants from Mount Bethel Elementary School in Cobb County. We have Ashray Arun and Sean Sanchetti and Emma Fagan. Thank you for joining me here. All right, let's start by presenting our People's Choice Award worth $5,000. Who's got that? Ashray? May I? Oh, Sean, you have it. All right, People's Choice Award. And the winner of the 2020 Georgia Tech InVenture Prize People's Choice Award is, say it.
Canary!
Canary! Can I give this back to you? Will you hold that for me? Thank you. Congratulations, Team Canary. All right, now it's time to announce our 2nd place winner, who will receive assistance in securing a patent along with $10,000 to help grow their idea. May I have the envelope, please? Thank you, Ashran. 2nd place, the runner-up for the 2020 Georgia Tech InVenture Prize is
Aerodyne.
Aerodyne. Congratulations, Team Aerodyne. I'm going to give you this. Will you hold that for me? Thank you. Congratulations. And now, for the big prize of the evening, it's time to announce our 1st place team who will take home tonight's grand prize: assistance in securing a patent, a spot in Georgia Tech's CreateX startup launch program, and a check for $20,000. May I have the envelope, Emma? Thank you. I love the sound of Velcro. The winner of the 2020 Georgia Tech InVenture Prize is Team Q's. Congratulations. All right. All right, guys. Real quick, whom do you want to thank?
I'd like to thank my friends, my family, and my fraternity brothers.
Yeah, we want to thank all of our fans for being here tonight. Airmark.
We want to thank all of our users for making the Qs actually possible.
Thanks to Georgia Tech and my family.
Family, sure, also fans.
And thank you for your hard work. Congratulations, Team Q's. Wow, what a show. All right, that will wrap it up for us. What an incredible way to spend an evening awarding $35,000 in startup money and patent assistance to these incredible teams here on the InVenture Prize stage. And if you crave even more innovation competition, the ACC InVenture Prize will be broadcast live from North Carolina State University on April 15th at 8 p.m. So mark that date in your calendar or just tattoo it on your body. That's what I do. I'm not going to tell you where. I would like to congratulate all of tonight's finalists, our People's Choice winner, Canary, our 2nd place winner, Aerodyne, and our 1st place winner, Team Q's. A big thank you to my amazing co-host Ashley Mingwasser, to our judges, and to everyone who watched and supported our program, and of course to all the unsung heroes behind the scenes at Georgia Tech who put this incredible program together. And never forget, necessity may be the mother of invention, but Georgia Tech is your daddy. Good night. Congratulations, guys. How do you split this 5 ways? I don't know.
Funding for this program was made possible in part by TDK USA Corporation, Georgia Center of Innovation for Manufacturing, Georgia Tech Research Corporation, Create X, and the Georgia Institute of Technology. From inner space to cyberspace to outer space. If we can do all of this, just imagine what we're doing in our own backyard.